This is For Pete's Sake with Gibbs. I'm Pete.
What up? I'm Gibbs.
We're joined here alongside our producer Trev. Say hi, Trev.
Hello.
Trevor Klaus coming from you from behind the glass.
Yes, sir. If we had glass in here. But we are a sports-based podcast, so we're going to focus primarily on that. But that's not all we're going to talk about, is it, Gibbs?
No, I mean we're gonna throw in some little interesting tidbits there, coming at you with some like pop culture stuff, everything from sports to like celebrity news and
Whatever is interesting.
yeah, there you go.
We are a Michigan-based sports podcast, so we're going to focus at times on the Motown sports here, but we're going to branch out into other sports as well, other cities, because if you focus just on one town, it's not going to be as interesting. It's not as much to talk about, especially for Detroit sports at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. And just like sports in general, it's probably the worst time of the year to start a sports podcast when there's not too much going on.
It's just baseball.
Yeah, just baseball.
I mean, it is racing season, but y'all don't care about that.
We'll get into that later, but Gibbs, what's the first topic for us?
Well, today is June 23rd, and the Detroit Pistons will officially be your 2020 NBA champs. 100% of the time the Pistons take a foreign player in the NBA draft, they have won.
Is it the first one since Darko?
It's the first one since Darko, man.
I forget what his name is. He's from France.
Is he really?
The guy we just drafted.
Sekou Doumbouya.
Yeah, Siakou Doumbouya with the 15th pick. We drafted the 6'9", 210-pound, 18-year-old from, I think he's from Guinea. And I was watching his introduction. He can barely speak English.
But can he play basketball? That's all that really
Well,
matters.
no, here's the thing. I was looking on the YouTube, looking up his film, and there's not even that much on there. And I mean, I think it was really a shocker that he kind of fell in the draft. I've heard a lot of good things about him, and it's one of those picks where I think we're trying to build a future for the Pistons. But
You had me a little nervous when you said not much film on him, because the last time we drafted a guy, didn't have much film on him. I believe that was Darko, who's now he was a kickboxer.
yeah, isn't he? He's a farmer now.
Yeah, like Thanos.
Where's he living? In Siberia or something like that?
I have no idea. Wasn't he from Croatia?
He's from Serbia and Montenegro,
Oh, there we go.
the Serbian part where he is currently, as you said, a farmer.
So we have Trev here for the research on the spot.
Well, I'm hoping that I think it's Siakou. He turns out a little better than Darko. Pete, what did
That's not a very high standard, by the way.
well,
But
that's true, but
Darko did win a title.
What did you think about this pick?
I heard also that he was supposed to be a top 10 pick, and he fell at 15. And the thing about the NBA draft is, especially because this is the one and done era, although they're thinking about changing that. But because these guys are so young, you really have no idea. I mean, look at the Toronto
That's
Raptors.
true.
They just won the NBA championship, and this has been talked about, I know, on other networks. But they drafted, the highest draft pick they had was Kawhi Leonard, who was from the Spurs, at number 15.
He was also the 15th pick, yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, there you go. So we're saying he's the next Kawhi Leonard. But the point was that you don't necessarily need those high draft picks, and a lot of times they're trying to be bust. Look at Markelle Fultz, number 1 pick. You already forgot about him, didn't you?
Jeez.
I mean, don't even need to mention Anthony Bennett, too.
Oh, I mean, that's what I mean. That all of these number 1 picks or top picks, you really don't know how they're going to turn out because they're so young.
No, it's essentially a lottery. It's is one of these guys going to hit? And one of the things I did like is they kind of acquired those draft picks later on in the second round, the future second round picks. And I mean, the more guys you're drafting, even if they are in the second round, the more likely one of these guys is going to be able to step up and be a role player, be a starter way down the line. And I really liked how they're kind of building for the future. Both their picks was Siakou and then I think it's Cervidez, their second round pick. Both these guys are 18, 19 years old, and they won't be able to make an impact for at least 2, 3, 4 years. So I do like how we're kind of building for the future, but at the same time, we're kind of stuck with Griffin. I mean, we have Griffin's contract. Obviously, he's a great player. He's the best we got right now, but we're not going to be able to win anything right now with the guys we got out there.
Drummond's in those Meyer ads.
Oh God.
Those are good.
We're not going to be able to win with Drummond either. Like, we got to get rid of these contracts, and I want to see, us kind of clean house and get what we can for Drummond, get what we can for Blake, and kind of turn those guys into picks for the future.
Can you pronounce that guy's name again? That second round pick?
God, so Siaku Doumbouya was the 15th pick, and then I believe it's
a Sekou Doumbouya.
Doumbouya, brother.
Someone will interview him and get that pronunciation right. So
I think he's coming on the show next.
Yeah, eventually we'll get it right here. Actually, looking at his at some Wikipedia pages of this guy here, fine research. There's a sporting director of a club that he played against in France that likened him to LeBron James.
Oh, so we got the next LeBron. There you go. So, Pete, have you seen anything else going on in the NBA recently?
Well, I have, Gibbs. Obviously, with the fourth pick, that was pretty big. The Lakers drafted Anthony Davis. That was pretty exciting. I think first time they've drafted a player that's already been in the league for 7 years. So that was pretty cool. Poor Lonzo, huh?
I mean, LeVar Ball's been going off again on ESPN.
He's been freed.
Yeah, no, I love it. I missed him.
He's been officially banned from ESPN too.
Gotta be honest, I haven't missed him.
Oh no, I love the energy.
Everyone knows that one parent that's kind of like LeVar, though, right? I don't know if
He's
I know.
like yelling way too loud at all the sporting games, thinks their kid is the best. I mean, in regards to Lonzo, he's not a bad player, but the rest of the balls, I think they're not in the league that Lonzo is for sure.
The youngest one, I think, is playing in Australia.
Yes, he is. And
is that LaMelo then, the youngest one?
Yeah, I forget who he's playing with, but there was another highly rated high school guy that's going to the same team with him too in Australia.
So now he can't even play like college basketball, right? Because he's playing overseas.
Aussies.
Well, he couldn't before anyway because he had that stint in Lithuania.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So,
Jesus,
Forgot about that one. Well, talking about the other big NBA news, I know Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, but the biggest news in basketball that's come out in the past couple of days has been the cast of Space Jam 2 has been announced. Gibbs, you want me to read you the list here?
Yeah, let's hear the cast.
Well, they got Klay Thompson. I'm a fan of that one.
How is he gonna play? How is he gonna star in this movie if he can't walk and play basketball?
The magic of cinema.
Jeez, now it's the Monsters, right? The team that they.
This isn't the Monstars.
The Monstars.
Get it right.
Yeah, it's looking like they might be able to pull this one off, maybe.
They got Anthony Davis. Oh, that's a shocker that he's on that team, huh?
It's funny that news broke right after he became a Laker.
How about that? They got the unibrow, so I guess that will look cool. And the Damian Lillard, I guess. The one that makes no sense. Well, it makes sense because he's friends with LeBron. But does anyone want to see Chris Paul in this movie? I mean,
jeez, yeah, no, there was CP3 and then Westbrook was one of the other guys. Is Westbrook in it? Or?
I heard he's no, I don't think he's in it. Oh, okay. I heard Chris Paul is questionable to play in this game, though. Questionable to act in the movie. Yeah. He's got another hamstring injury.
I mean, he might be contractually tied down to the Hoopers from the State Farm ads back in the day.
Oh man, him and Harden been going at it apparently.
I saw something the other day, and there's I forget who said it, but it was like Chris Paul and James Harden look so happy in those State Farm commercials, huh?
It's all acting, I guess.
I mean, people thought that was a weird combo from the start. Two guys that wanted the ball in their hands. It's like, what are you gonna do?
No, that whole offense it revolves around Harden. They're both stars. They both want to have that team, and they just don't work well together.
Well, also in Space Jam 2, I believe it's going to have some WNBA players. Diana Taurasi is going to be in it. So mixed up. She's probably one of the best players that's actually going to be in the movie. But this had me thinking. Space Jam 2, it's with Bugs Bunny, right? The Looney Tunes. This had me thinking. I thought they missed a big opportunity here. Trev, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Instead of the Looney Tunes characters, they should have had the backyard baseball characters. You remember those computer games growing up?
That was the best. Yeah. Oh, what is it, like Pedro Martinez?
Yeah.
Backyard baseball. Pablo, yeah.
Pablo Sanchez. For those of you who don't know, but I'm sure some of you remember, Pablo Sanchez he was the Spanish kid. He was shorter. He had the snapback on always.
A slugger.
We had Pete Wheeler, fastest guy in the game right there.
and your boy, Dmitry Petrovic.
He is the guy, and he had the glasses. So if you're trying to remember who he was the bigger kid with the glasses. He looks like the kid from the Polar Express movie. Plus, by the way, there's one of those kids in every grade. Every one of your classes growing up, there was that kid that looked like him, right?
I mean, yeah, we would have to say that.
I need to go back
thanks
on
for
the Game Boy and dust this one off.
Thanks for supporting me on that point, by the way, Gibbs. That was quick.
Savage.
You also had Ricky Johnson. Ahmed Khan, remember him? I believe was he in the wheelchair?
No, I don't want to say he was with the wheelchair.
He had the headphones though. Ahmed Khan. They also had Ashley, is it Weber or Weber?
Ashley Weber and Sydney Weber.
The twins.
Yeah.
But they should have had those guys in this movie. I mean, and they could play any sport. I've played all the games. They could play baseball, basketball.
It was the same kids in every game?
Yep, they could play soccer. They could have been alongside of LeBron. I mean, who do you think's going to win? You got Anthony Davis versus Pablo Sanchez. I mean, come on.
Sanchez all day.
Still wearing the snapback.
I mean, what sport are we talking?
Are they still making those games, or are those are things of a thing of the past now?
The first one was released in 1997.
Oh, man. The OG backyard baseball.
I would love to see that movie.
I mean, screw Space Jam altogether. Just make like a backyard sports game.
I think that's what they should have done, Trev. I would have loved to have seen it. It was a more updated version because we don't watch the Looney Tunes anymore, right? I mean,
never really did, no.
Kids are going to go see that movie. They're going to have no idea who Bugs Bunny is.
It says here the latest games in the Backyard Sports series were released alongside each other in 2015, Backyard Sports Baseball and Backyard Sports Basketball 2015.
See, basketball, they could have done it.
They got to bring those back, and they got to bring the NCAA games back, too.
Oh, yeah. You knew who the players were, but the names weren't on there, so. Well, we're talking about backyard sports here. There's some young prodigies right there in sports. Let's turn our attention to a real-life young sports prodigy. This story came out the other day on ESPN. Freddie Adu. You guys remember him? He was signed to an MLS team, I believe, Trev. You know this too, at the age of 14.
The future of American soccer, right?
Man.
At one point?
Yeah, he came out of the MLS draft at age 14, picked first overall by DC United.
Freddie.
Ended up playing there for 2 years, and then went on a giant journey across the world, to say the least.
I do believe he was going to be a star.
Hey, there it is. What is he up to now? Is he still playing soccer?
The story was pretty sad.
The last time he played was in 2018 with the Las Vegas Lights of, I believe, the USL.
Yeah, it was a lower division.
Lower than the MLS?
You didn't know there was one, did you?
No, I didn't know that existed.
But it's just sad. It's a sports project. Everyone knew him growing up. Being drafted at 14 is
I
crazy.
remember being on the cover of like Sports Illustrated for kids magazines, like back growing up. He's got to be like pushing the end of his like prime end of his career at this point.
Do you have the list of teams there, Trev?
I do. He has played in several countries. So after DC United, Freddie Adu was traded to Real Salt Lake. Played there for a season, only made 11 appearances.
Salty.
You could say that. Then he made arguably the biggest move of his career. He was signed by Benfica for around $2 million. Stayed there until 2011, had several loan spells while he was at Benfica, 4 to be exact, including ones in France, Portugal, Greece, and Turkey. Then he went back to Philadelphia for 2 more years after it didn't really work out for him in Europe.
Born and raised.
Yeah. Stayed there from 11 to 13, 35 appearances, 7 goals, which I believe, looking at it, is the best return rate he had for any spell in his career. That was the highest goals per game ratio.
I'm looking up his net worth right now, and they have him at $12 million. So, like, I mean, he still made a little money despite, like, the downfall of his career.
Yeah, I mean, since that spell with Philadelphia, he's played in Brazil, Serbia, Finland, and then in the lower leagues of the U.S., yes. No, this man is This is why you don't liken a kid to Pele when they're 14.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Throwing like another sports star who never really made it up to all their accolades was Josh Smith. You seen the news about Josh Smith recently, the former Piston?
I have not. What is it?
So, they have like that Big Three league. I think it's like Ice Cube throws on the Big Three.
Mm-hmm.
Their first games this year were at Detroit at the LCA Arena downtown.
Little Caesars Arena, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah, there you go. And Josh Smith was out there playing for one of the teams, and we're actually still paying Josh Smith to literally not be on our team right now. I think it's 3 or 4 years we had to eat his contract. So I think this year is the last year of his contract, and we're paying him $5 million not to play.
It's a hell of a signing.
Yeah, there you go. But so he was at this league and are playing yesterday on Saturday, and the whole crowd was booing him just because Detroit hates this guy. He never really was able to produce anything for us.
You wore the headband, right?
Yeah, he always had the headband on, and it was funny. The second we cut him, we went on like a 7 or 8 game winning streak.
Jay Smith.
Yeah, but he ended up getting ejected from this, getting into a fight or like a verbal fight with one of the other guys playing, and he ended up getting ejected from the Big Three game.
I didn't know that was possible.
No, like I thought it was just a bunch of old retired NBA players like messing around, having a good time, and
Well, how old is he?
He's only 33.
Yeah, so he's not one of the old guys.
still be playing in the NBA.
This is his audition for back in the league.
He's obviously physically still in shape enough to be playing basketball. I mean, talent-wise, though, that's clearly just not there.
No.
We're still paying him. Bring him back.
Inconsistent, Yeah.
Jay Smoove.
I was trying to think of what his nickname was. Not Jay Smitty. What is that?
Close enough.
Well, we're going to introduce a couple new segments here on this first episode. So we're going to try to do moving forward, introduce new segments, keep it fresh, keep it interesting. I did just say keep it fresh. I'm sorry about that, Gibbs. But the first one we're going to do here, it's named after the title of our podcast. It's For Pete's Sake. Gibbs, I'm going to present to you a topic, a couple thoughts that I've had recently.
Okay, let's hear it.
This one is about loyalty in sports to one team. So you hear people say back in my day, you're talking to your grandpa or something, they'll say, back in my day, guys played for the team they were drafted their entire careers. It's more modern guys, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady's played for the same team, Dirk Nowitzki's going to be retiring. You don't see that as much anymore in today, especially in the NBA, players moving around. And the idea that people say is there's no more loyalty in sports. Well, I'll tell you why there's no loyalty in sports from these players. And I thought about this from the Kevin Durant injury. So Kevin Durant, for those of you who don't know, tore his Achilles, which is the worst injury that you can have as an NBA player. A lot of guys don't come back from it. And the Warriors said afterwards that they were told it wasn't related to the calf injury he just had. And I'm not a doctor, so I can't say this for sure, but I feel like the calf is located above the Achilles, so I feel like they're related. Again, I'm not a doctor.
I mean, he was definitely playing injured in the NBA Finals, and you got to think that it had to lead up to further injuring his leg.
Well, that's the thing. The idea that it couldn't affect him moving forward, and obviously it did. So I just didn't buy that. Anyways, and the Warriors, said basically the GM was crying and showing his sympathy for it. And what I was thinking was, well, the Warriors are incentivized to have him play because they want to win the championship. Mm-hmm. I know Kevin Durant would too, but they will do anything. Teams will do anything in sports to win because they operate as their own businesses. That's what they'll cut players, trade players. Look at the Lakers just trade all those guys away. Lonzo Ball, born in LA, supposed to be the next great Lakers point guard, trade him away for Anthony Davis. But my point overall was that, you see this more in football too, and I think about the guaranteed contracts where teams will, they'll offer a guy $60 million, but they only have 20 guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And they'll say that's to protect them from injuries. The team from injuries in case the guy gets hurt, because obviously football, violent game. But most of the time, it's just for them to get out of a contract after 2 years. That's why Le'Veon Bell didn't re-sign with the Steelers. They offered him it was $40, $50 million deal, which is a lot of money, but only $15 million guaranteed. So they only had to pay him for a year or two. And I know like I said, they said it's for injury causes, but in reality, I think it's just because it enables them to get out of a long-term contract they don't want.
They don't care about the player, and I think this is especially a problem in the NFL where careers are so short. And in the NBA, these guys are 18, 19 years old. They're developing. They have a longer career, but in the NFL, like the average career is what, like 3, 4, 5 years, and these guys are out of the league. And you can't blame the player for wanting to. Like I'm not mad at Le'Veon Bell for having like all the drama that went down last year, because at the end of the day he just wanted the most money for him, and that's not necessarily like a selfish move. He just knows that, especially as a running back in the NFL, his career is very it's very limited.
My overall point was just that these players now are all of a sudden they're operating as if they're their own corporations, separate from the teams, which is what they have to do. They gotta look out for themselves. That's what Kawhi Leonard did. He didn't play for the Spurs last season because he didn't think he was physically right, and people were criticizing him a ton last year. Well, he just won a title. I know people have talked about this, on other networks as well, but players have to look out for themselves, operate as their own business, switch teams to where they want to go to, where they think is right.
Yeah, 100%.
Because teams at the end of the day are going to look after themselves first too, because they operate as their own businesses, and that's why I think players are and should operate as their own corporations themselves.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing with these athletes as it is for, just the average person. They want to find a workplace where they can make the most money, or they are happiest, and I think you can make that analogy with this.
Thanks, Gibbs. That was for Pete's sake right there. Our next segment here is Gibbs. It's your turn to present something to me. It's called Gibbs, Your Take.
Here's the take of the week. I got a list pulled up that I was kind of interested in. This was for you, Trevor. I have a list of the 5 highest grossing athletes of all time. And I was wondering if you could name 1 or 2 of the top 5 on this list.
Well, I think Michael Schumacher has to be up there for Formula One.
Unfortunately, he's not on the list.
I thought you were trying to make a joke.
I do a Control F for that, but he's not showing up.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, then I would believe, in terms of, you just saying top grossing athletes ever?
Yeah, just throw like 1 or 2 names out.
Well, Cristiano Ronaldo has to be near the top there.
Let's take a look-see here, where Ronaldo's at. Most of these guys in the top 5 are actually golfers. Let's see.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So Tiger's one, right?
Well, that goes without saying. I would guess Phil would
Tiger's
be in there,
up there
too.
Ronaldo is he's the second highest grossing soccer player, but he's actually not on the top 10. But the top 5, from 5 to number 1, is Jack Nicklaus is number 5.
Does Jordan one?
Yeah, Jordan's number 2. We got Arnold Palmer coming in at 4.
The iced teas.
Tiger's at 3. Yeah, you can't. Oh, those iced teas are good. 99
It's an Arnold
cents.
Palmer. It's not an iced tea lemonade. It's an Arnold Palmer.
It reminds me of like the ESPN commercial where he's making the iced tea. Classic.
Well, if we're including brands like that, then Michael's got to be up there.
Yeah, Jordan's up there at number 2. Yeah. And then number 1 is Gaius Dioscaltes from the Roman Empire.
Did not see that one coming.
Can't say I did either.
A little before my time.
His reported total winnings of 35,863,120,000 sesterces, which is equivalent to $15 billion US present day.
What was that currency?
Who even knows? Bitcoin maybe, something like that. I don't know what the
maybe gold
going rate is. Yeah, or gold or something like that. But he has 14 more times total monetary earnings than Michael Jordan.
How long ago did he play? Who is this guy?
He's from like 40 AD, and it says they're not 100% sure how he died or when he died, but 143 AD is his approximate death. But he participated in 4,257 chariot races. He specialized in the 4-horse chariot race.
Wow. And
he won a total of 1,462 of his about 4,000 races. Most of them come from behind fashion.
Hold on here. Is it chariot races with the horse? Is that what it is? So really the horse was the one that was catching up. So I
mean,
think
like,
the winnings were actually from the horse.
Every horse is a great jockey, right?
So was he a jockey? He was basically just a glorified jockey. Is that what you're saying here?
Well, he started racing at 18, so essentially he went pro right after high school.
Freddie Adu started at 14, but
Definitely had a better career than Freddie Adu.
Now, what's the source on this?
Wikipedia.
There we go. That's what we like to see.
And
where else would he get it from?
Second time that's been used. We have very reliable sources.
obviously, we'll cite them all at the end.
It's called Google.
Yes.
But that's Gibbs' take of the week. Thank you.
I appreciate it. That's a fun fact. I didn't know that.
And there you go. A little something to.
I bet our listeners didn't either. Now we're gonna close out with a little fun segment here. Trev,
Yes, sir.
do you have any kind of news or story that you wanted to share with us as well?
Coming soon. Not this week.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about the NASCAR.
Oh, no, that's a good point. So as we're recording this right now, it's going to be the final race of legendary NASCAR figure Darrell Waltrip in the booth. Man's been commentating on races for 19 years now. This is his last go round. He had a driving career of over I want to say like 20 years too. So this
True
man's
legend.
this man's been in the sport for really like good part of 50 years, and he's saying goodbye today. For those who don't know, this is the man that goes boogity 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 at the
Boogity,
beginning.
boogity, boogie boys, let's go racing.
Yep, that was pretty spot on there.
Gibbs, you know anything else about him besides that?
NASCAR.
Yeah, but anyway, this man is like any longtime legend in any sport. He has a lot of respect in the community of NASCAR, and we wish him the best in whatever he does next.
I believe he was also in Cars.
Darrell Cartrip.
Walry.
Literally have
The
a tear.
walrus.
I literally have a tear in my eye right now. A true legend. Do you think the sport's gonna be able to be the same without him?
You know, I've been a NASCAR fan my whole life, and as I'm sitting here now, it doesn't really hit yet. But then, because he's a broadcaster for Fox, when Fox picks up the rights at the beginning of next year, and he's not there to kick off the season with another boogity boogity boogity, that's when it's gonna hit.
Oh, man.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that, Trev. As we said earlier, this is the inaugural episode, so we're going to grow from here, see what we did right, see what we did wrong. But this has been our first episode. I think it went pretty well. You got anything to say, Gibbs?
It's been a ride.
Yep. Feel free to leave your feedback in the comment sections. This will be going up on YouTube and SoundCloud, hopefully on the evening of the 23rd here, which is the day we're recording this.
Way to say the date. I forgot about that. It's good. That's why he's the best producer in the biz.
That's what they call me.
Behind the glass window.
Do we have anything for next week that we want to promote?
Nope.